Chapter 4, Teddy Day. As they walked out, she was in her own world of thought. They reached the parking lot and she got into her car. It was a BMW. He let out a slight whistle and said, "I guess the writing job pays quite well, huh?" She did not respond. He was in his bike, standing near her window. She lowered the window to gaze out. They looked on at each other in silence, waiting for no reason. "Not yet having a chocolate?" he asked her, as she still had it in her hand. "I think I've had enough chocolate and coffee for the day already," she replied. "And had you had enough of me?" he asked. The answer, of course, was no for her. She really liked him already and she wanted to spend more time with him, but she did not say that to him and remained silent without answering the question. Anyway, he did not even wait for her to answer and continued, "We've had a perfect Valentine's week so far." She gave him a questioning look this time. "We met on Rose Day and I gifted you a rose plant. On Propose Day, you proposed." She raised her eyebrows. "I mean, you proposed going out, and then on Chocolate Day, we have already exchanged chocolates." So he dragged the last word, as if he was waiting for her to add. She switched her engine off, aware of where it was leading. He could be her Valentine for that year with things going right. He had been thinking about it already. She liked the thought of it, but the hitch was that he had known her identity as an author. She never wished to be recognized by anyone as an author. She enjoyed the anonymity. From the start, she had worked with such a setup where even her publishers had not known her identity. Everything was dealt only through mails. Even the contracts were signed by someone with the power of attorney. No one from her publishing team even knew her whereabouts. Even her fan mails and gifts were forwarded to a specific postbox number, and from there they were enormously collected and delivered to her house. She had requested this anonymity from her publishers and they had honored her with it. Even her publishing team believed that her books were quite popular for the same reason, that it was written by a mysterious author. Her identity as an author and her actual identity was always well kept. It was like she had two different lives. She had made sure in all her previous relationships that the others had not known about her identity as an author. She was only a usual girl to them, and she would often end a relationship when she feared that the other person might come to know who she was. But in this case, it was different, where he had known her identity since the beginning. So she was not sure how she was going to deal with it. As she was lost in her world of thoughts, he waved at her face, thus bringing her back to reality. "What happened? You got zoned out?" he asked. She choked. "Let me be direct. Let's make Teddy's day special as well, okay?" She stared blankly at him. Thousands of thoughts occurred to her then. So there he was, ready for the next day. Now the ball was in her court and she had to take the call if she wanted to give it a shot. It was an easy choice to just walk away from this date and just forget about this guy, but she was not ready for it. "I'll send you the location tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's a date," he blurted without waiting for her to answer. She again said nothing and he did not mind it either. He knew she did not speak much and he liked that about her. He smiled and then whirled past her car on his bike. He looked on until he disappeared in the darkness. She too left, thinking she should decide after one more date. Out of all the days in the Valentine's week, she hated Teddy Day for no big reason. According to her, it made no sense to have a teddy as a part of the Valentine's week. Teddy Day is actually a day meant to share gifts, not necessarily teddy. She personally did not like teddy bear toys and wondered why people gifted them and thought they all girls like to hug a teddy and sleep near to it. If Sacharam or Fishnaram would give a teddy to her on Teddy Day, that would prove her that he's not her type and perhaps that would be the end of whatever it was between them. So she decided to make a decision after the Teddy date. That evening, as she got ready for the date, she had wrapped a gift for him as well and took it along with her. Maybe like a farewell gift. If things flopped, she thought. He had asked her to meet him at Teddy Boy. She had no idea what kind of place that was, but hoped it would be something interesting like Theobroma Cafe. She reached the place on time and found him waiting for her in the parking lot. "Happy Teddy Day," he wished while she just nodded. She looked at the entrance of the place and could hear loud music playing inside the restaurant and saw loads of people getting in. She got the inkling that the place must be crowded. "This place is crowded during the Valentine's week," he said. She again nodded, still eyeing the entrance. More and more people were getting in. "Do you know why? This place offers free shots to all singles. When every place has offers for couples this week, it tries to make the singles feel special too." "Oh, so are you ready for some free shots?" he asked. She appeared obvious. "What?" We're both single, aren't we? He asked with a wink. I don't drink, she answered softly. Oh, that's okay. Mocktail shots are available too, he said. No. She did not know how to politely say to him that she didn't like places. After all, it was a date and she did not want to spoil whatever he had planned for that night. He looked at her for one long moment and said, Fine, let's go somewhere else. It's okay, she agreed. She interrupted, I have a better place to take you to. Some place where you'll feel more comfortable. He straightaway got onto his bike and asked her to join. We'll get your car when we come back. She looked at him for a second or two and then got onto the bike. She did not even know where she had traveled on a bike, but she loved the gust of air striking her face. She smiled and he smiled, seeing her in his side mirror. He stopped after a while and she got down and looked down. It was a narrow street with a few shops nearby. He took her to one of the shops and it was a bookshop named Smiles. The entrance was so small that they had to bend down to enter. Small but cozy, the shop was full of old used books. She loved the smell inside and soon started checking out the book on the racks. She could see 4 or 5 people reading books at a table at a corner. He tapped on her shoulder from behind and she turned around. This is one of the oldest bookshops in the city. The lady who runs this place is about 80 years old. She's an avid reader. He pointed to the shop owner who, seated on a stool, was reading a book in her red glass. She was amazed to see her absorbed in the book and running the store even at that age. My original plan for today before we met was to come here for the book reviewing session. They read a book and discuss it every Wednesday evening. But since it was Teddy Day for us, I thought of taking you to Teddy Boy, a show which flopped eventually, he confessed with a disappointment on his face. She just smiled. Anyway, the date is not yet over. Let me see how I can make it up. The session is going to start. Let's go. He took her to the table. To their surprise, it was going to be the review of her own book and she glared at him. I swear I did not know this, he whispered to her, shaking his head. She gave him an irate look. Another flop? He whispered again. Anyway, they sat for the session and the discussion started. Everyone spoke on the book one by one about the author, what they liked about the book, their favorite quote and their interpretation. Though she had received numerous reviews of her book online, she had never heard about her book directly from anyone. It was an all-new experience for her and she loved it. The feedback seemed to be coming right from their hearts. She could see how and why her readers liked her book, thus getting an idea as to how she could improve and what readers expected from her. As time passed by, she also got involved in the discussion, though only as a reader. She enjoyed each and every minute of the discussion. To her surprise, he remained silent throughout. Finally, the discussion ended and everyone left. They both got out of the shop and came to his bike. They looked all at each other until he finally broke the silence. I see God in you. What? Do you know why I love plants? It gives me an assurance that God is there. Every time I study the plant in detail, I'm amazed at the intricacies and engineering behind them. I wonder how He has enabled them to produce of their own and provide food to all in the world. It makes me realize how impertinent and small I am in front of Him. He continued in his trembling voice, and in front of everything He's created in the world, I am similarly awed by you as well. Did you hear them? I was amazed to see how much they admire your creation and how emotionally connected they are to you. You're an awesome creator. That's why I see God in you. She was getting emotional hearing him, yet she stayed calm and tried her best not to reveal her emotions. No one had ever talked to her like that. She did not even know how to respond to him. And as always, she remained silent. Just keep writing and do wonders. They left on a bike and did not exchange any more words. Reaching Teddy Boy where she had parked her car, she found out that the pub was noisier now. I'm glad that my plans flopped, he said with a smile, and she smiled as well. And hope this doesn't flop, he said, and took out something kept in his bike pouch. He handed it to her. Happy Teddy Day. It was a book. She took the book in her hands and smiled seeing it. Hunting Trips of a Ranchman, a book by Theodore Roosevelt. The real Teddy Boy, he said with a smile. She continued to smile too. I believe we know the link between teddy bears and our teddy boy, Theodore, and how teddy bears were created because of his one hunting trip. She nodded. Good. That's why I thought that this could be a perfect gift for Teddy Day. I do not like to give teddy bears. That's very childish, and also they are bears, wild animals. I don't know how people find them cute, he asserted. She did not say anything but just kept smiling, looking at the book. And this book is my own copy. I want you to have this one rather than getting you a new one. She nodded and got into the car. Finally, something that did not flop, huh? She opened her dashboard and took the wrap gift which she had got for him. His jaws dropped as he opened it. It was the same book which he had given, Hunting Trips of Arrangement. This is my copy which I wanted to give you, she said. Wow, so this is a flop too? He was disappointed. No, not just this, but the whole evening had been awesome. This is one of the best days of my life. Happy Teddy Day, she wished, smiling.